Right then, this is a road test video, and this is for a Honda CR-V 2.2 SE automatic diesel. This particular car is registered LC63UFP, I believe, so that might not be quite right, but I'll have a check later. Mileage at the start of the road test is 60,922 miles. As always, the reason we do these videos is ever so simple. It's basically because we want anyone that's looking at any of our cars online to actually see the car advertised in operation. We feel it's incredibly important, not least of which because we've been on the receiving end ourselves of going to see cars which can look perfectly good in photographs and quite often in the description, but only to get there and find out when you drive it, it's actually got a fundamental issue that you'd much rather known about before setting off. So that's why we do it. So coming to the car itself, obviously a very, very well looked after car, and I have to say it feels it pretty much straight away. Engine starts instantly and settles to completely smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. The temperature gauge is running at a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be, and the car's been running for the best part of 2 hours now because it's just been delivered to us. So clearly all good. The engines are brilliant diesel engines. As you'd expect of a Honda, they give amazing reliability and longevity. By common consent in the trade, they are without doubt the most reliable engine currently produced of their era. Cam chain driven, no cam belts to worry about them, which is lovely. But it's also an engine that's really lovely to use day in, day out. The only time you really, obviously a diesel is at low revs, where even Honda can't engineer out what is a characteristic of diesel combustion. But on the move, it's smooth, it's quiet, it's powerful, and unlike so many modern diesels, which are kind of one-trick ponies, where they give an impression of having power because they pull away very quickly, but then they die away very quickly as well. They have a very narrow power band. The 2.2's got loads of guts that you'd expect of a diesel, but it also has plenty of oomph that keeps going when you put your foot down. If you hold your foot down there, it just keeps pulling and keeps pulling and keeps pulling, and it does so very quietly, but it just keeps going. It's a wonderful unit. Engine feeds then into the automatic gearbox, and again, as you'd expect of a Honda, it's a lovely gearbox because it's very smooth shifting. You have these paddles here which you can use as well, so you just pull back, it selects me fourth gear, just matches the speed I'm going at, down to third, fourth, fifth. You know, it's there for a very occasional use. I mean, it all works perfectly well, but it's not something that's often used. The gearbox actually started off back in their flagship Honda Legend range, because Honda didn't have a gearbox really that was designed for diesel at the time when they first brought them out. And the diesels, obviously, it's so hefty on torque that they didn't think that the standard petrol engine one would be man enough to cope with it. So rather than develop a brand new box, they went for complete engineering overkill and gave it something that was designed for over 300 horsepower. So that's not a bad thing to have, and that gives it its reliability. Notwithstanding reputation, you should still do the obvious checks on any automatic gearbox when you get in, when you select drive or reverse, hopefully both. Just make sure there's no kind of sudden clonks or thunks or metallic noises, and there's nothing in this car. And also that there shouldn't be any sort of the actual changes should be very smooth, and they are. Steering of the car, I'm at the legal limit now, no wobble, track's absolutely dead straight. There's no, as I said, there's no vibrations at the speed or any speed up to legal limit. Chap drove back down the motorway and reported all was good. But it's a lovely power steering setup actually, because it's very nicely weighted. It makes the car feel really nice and secure on the road. Gives it kind of sort of hefty feeling, which is really nice and quite rare in lots of power steering systems. But it's very accurate and in operation, very, very car-like. It makes the car, you can flow through corners, and the chassis is eminently capable of keeping up with it. body control's really good in the CR-Vs because they've struck a beautiful balance between being able to sort of go through corners like this, completely unflustered, very little pitching and wallowing. It just flows beautifully, but also offers a very, very comfortable and compliant ride. What I'm also looking for in cars of any age is any kind of noises coming from underneath the vehicle that shouldn't be there when you hit a bump. So you'll hear it hitting the bump in a fairly subdued way, but you don't hear any kind of clatterings or knocking noises, and there's nothing at all. Brakes on the car, give them a shove. Really powerful brake pedal. It actually activates the hazard lights, which is just done there if you brake hard on the CR-Vs. But what I'm looking for, particularly on automatics, is any kind of pulsing on the brake pedal, any vibrations, and there's nothing at all. So really powerful brakes in this car. It's one of the best I've felt. Coming inside, we've not cleaned the car yet, but it is very, very clean in here. And one thing you are struck by immediately is just how beautifully put together these cars are. Not a squeak or a rattle from the interior of the car. They are superbly made, and it's a lovely place to sit and drive a car because you've got a very simple, easy to use dashboard, brilliant visibility with these massive wing mirrors that make you feel very confident on the road about what's going on around you, sort of in the other lanes, that kind of thing. It's not a car where you feel cocooned in it and trapped inside, which is what people love about these cars, and certainly myself as well. But the dash is simple. You've got a lovely big radio, easy to use. You've got a dual zone climate control system, gives you the option of different temperatures side to side. Air conditioning is ice cold in the car because I put it in a warm workshop on arrival just to check a couple of things, and it works perfectly. Switch gear has that beautiful kind of rubbery click high quality action that you get from Honda. They do that brilliantly well. Dash in front is simplicity itself. Simple, easy, legible dials. Not overly complicated, trying to give you too much information, which I really, really like. I find too many binnacles these days really distracting. The steering wheel feels like new in hand. It's lovely and small in diameter, leather bound as well, so it feels really nice. And it just adds to the sense of the car is very kind of manoeuvrable and easy to cope with. Most people that jump in these probably expect them to feel big and a bit clumsy like a lot of SUVs can, but pretty much everyone that drives them gets out and are really surprised by just how nice and easy, and it isn't intimidating in any way. It's just a very, very, very nice car to drive, but it all works perfectly. This is a four-wheel drive version, albeit there are no buttons to press, because Honda, again in their infinite wisdom, decided that, well, most people will be driving as I am today in perfectly good conditions where you don't need four-wheel drive constantly on. Problem with permanent four-wheel drive is it use more frictional losses, so there's more mechanical stress put through the car, you use more fuel and get through your tyres more quickly. This is genius, and I've got one. We tow a caravan with ours and it's brilliant. It basically, as soon as the front wheels start to lose grip, it instantly and seamlessly brings in the rear wheels to give you four-wheel drive, and in practice it works fantastically well. Never come close to getting stuck with mine. And the beauty of its simplicity, of course, is its reliability, because by not having it on permanently, it puts less stress through the system. So in nearly 3 decades of selling CR-Vs and other Hondas using this system, we've never so much as put a spanner on one of them in terms of the four-wheel drive system. As I said at the start of the video, although it's brief, it is just to show the car in operation. This car drives as tight as a drum. I know these very, very well. I've driven ones which have been tired and not that well looked after, which we don't buy, and then you get ones like this which just feels wonderfully, wonderfully tight on the road in every way. As always though, if you've got any questions about the car, don't hesitate, do give us a call.